We begin tonight's show with breaking news. Odyssey Interactive's Omega Strikers, recently announced for Switch and other platforms, will soon be shutting down before it launches. There will be no closing events or refunds. Go play Windjammers 2 instead.
Hello, party people. It's your boy Dre. Once again, back once again. I always say when I say back once again, back and better than ever on the fine and the time. Steve, do you feel fine or do you feel time?
I mean, I feel fine, but when you say we're back, it says to the people that we've left, and I don't feel like we ever leave for very long.
Kevin, have you ever watched We're Back, a Dinosaur Story?
Yes,
no.
we've talked about this. It's excellent.
It is not.
Yeah.
Oh, we were talking about it in regards to the Land Before Time. That's right.
You guys chastised me for being one of like the 3 We're Back fans on Earth.
Sorry. Do you still have a VHS of We're Back?
I don't, but we've found it somewhere because I've watched it with Matthew when he was younger, so it's still findable.
Do you remember that movie where it was like a puppet dinosaur and like Whoopi Goldberg? I don't know if they were like solving crimes or something. Does anyone know what I'm talking about?
I do. It came out only on direct-to-video, and it's going to bug me right now because I know exactly what you're talking about.
Whoever DMs Fine Time Podcast on Twitter with the name of this movie gets nothing. We have no prizes on the show. I'm sorry.
Especially since I'm pretty sure I'm going to remember it in the middle of one of us talking about our games.
Steve sends nudes for whoever comes up with that. FYI.
Nudes may not necessarily be mine.
By nudes, he means noodles. Not necessarily his. Okay, I want to go first because goddamn, everybody. Okay, as promised to nobody but myself. Guys, why do you let me do this to myself? I actually did play all the rest of the Uncharted, like I said I was. Why didn't you stop me?
It's for the
Somebody's got to do it.
No, nobody really has to do it. I know millions and millions of people have done it, and I can't understand why.
I played, I think on the very first Fine Time, I talked about Uncharted 1, but I had the common sense to cut it off there.
I had to keep going. I didn't have to keep going, but I kept going. So, like, briefly, I'm going to take you through my journey of Uncharted's, basically. So, like, just a few assorted thoughts on each, I guess. So, like, after the wonderful experience I had with the first one, as I bitched about a couple big deals ago, rather, I played Uncharted 2 right after, and as if to specifically piss me off, it started with a very long climbing sequence up a train about to go over the cliff. So it's like, oh, fake danger. And like, I'm climbing, my favorite thing. This is immediately followed by a stealth sequence. Fuck you guys. Are you I swear to God, someone made this game just to piss me off. Steve, did you make this game?
With what free time?
Oh my God. Sounds like something you do as a birthday present. So
what?
That doesn't make any sense. I have no idea why I said that. That makes literally no sense. So okay, so this game I didn't enjoy any more than the first one, but so I'm like 2/3 through the game. I get to this like ice cavern. And like, by the way, before this ice cavern, I went to this like indigenous people's village because this guy rescued me, which is going to send all the bad guys there and kill half their village. And that is exactly what happened. So we basically just got these people killed for no reason. And it's like, oh, well, you know what I mean? Like the death in this game. And like I said, Nathan Drake is the most efficient killer of all time. In every single one of these games, I'm killing literally hundreds of people, like with pinpoint accuracy, with sniper rifles, shotguns, grenades, like RPGs, everything. It's insane. I have no idea how this man knows how to do this shit. This is on top of like Impossible White Man rope swings and like, you know what I mean? Like all the bullshit. But anyway, Ice Cavern. That's what I was doing. So, you know, I'm doing the AAA thing, right? I'm jumping and I'm climbing from ledge to ledge, another obvious ledge, another obvious jump, another whatever. It's going on for like several minutes. And I just, you know, your brain just zeroes out at some point. You just kind of hit rock bottom with your thoughts. And it's like, what am I doing? Why am I here? What is the meaning of life? Like, yeah, honestly, though, I was thinking, who is this for? Who out there, like, Uncharted is their shit. Like, it is their favorite shit. They didn't make 4.5 games of these for like no reason, right?
And they reviewed very well.
Yes. There's millions of people who love these. I need to meet one. I'm dead serious. I'm not even being sarcastic. Like, if you love Uncharted, like, get at me on Twitter or something. Like, I really want to know what people see in this. Like, I know it sounds like I'm being like a prick. I actually really do want to know, because I do not understand. I just don't. Anyway, at least this is a much better production than the first. Like I said, the first Uncharted was a kind of PS2-y in a way that was like weird. This is kind of still a little bit PS2-y, but it's still much better. It doesn't feel like a PS2 game anymore.
So is it just production value that went up? Because I always feel like everybody talks about Uncharted 2 as being the pinnacle. You know, they kind of got Uncharted 1 out of the way, and it was a huge leap to Uncharted 2. Is it just production value, or is there's something that's substantially better story-wise or anything that makes Uncharted 2 so revered?
You do see better locations, like, you know, the lost city of El Dorado. Like, you actually go there. You actually do go to like this golden city that looks good. But again, that is production value. I think that's literally all people are playing these games for, is that. That has to be it. It can't be for gameplay. Like, it just can't be. I mean, I just don't want it to be true. Maybe it is, but I hope not. But yeah, the much better locales, because, you know, the first one just kind of takes place on a little island and there's like a few structures and that's it, which is fine. That's why the game is so short, mercifully short. This is a lot longer, and that's kind of why I actually like the first game more, because it was shorter. So I got it over with more. But actually, more than both out of the PS2, out of the PS3 trilogy, I actually liked Uncharted 3 the best. It light is doing a lot of heavy lifting here, but you know, but again, as if made to piss off specifically me, Uncharted 3 begins with an extensive sequence as you playing as Nathan Drake as a kid. And you guys know how much I love playing as the kid version or some other stupid character that can't do anything in a AAA game versus like the actual fucking character I want to be. No, I don't want to be Mary Jane. I want to be fucking Spider-Man. God damn it. Like, anyway, that's how I felt doing that. You did get to see young Sully. That was fun. Solely to trigger cutscenes, gameplay, if you will. Walk forward a few steps. Here's another cutscene. Here's another scripted sequence across rooftops, exactly the way they want me to, or else I die. It is so anti-video game. I hate it. I hate everything. I hated everything while playing it. It was awful. Another thing, I guess this isn't an Uncharted problem in particular, but why are AAA games so fucking atrocious at hand-to-hand combat? Kevin, like, all of them are bad. Ass Creed is bad at it. It feels like Rock'em Sock'em Robots. Always. It's terrible. Not that they have to be like Bayonetta, but like, come on.
Yeah, I struggle to think of a like argument to the contrary.
Yeah, but it's just like, I don't want to do. Are they afraid like people will? I don't know. I really can't think of an answer either. Like, that all of them are bad. Can you, Steve? Can you punch people in Red Dead Redemption 2? Does it feel like shit?
Oh God, that's the weakest part of the game.
It is. Yeah.
The fist fighting really is.
It's so bad. Anyway, the Uncharted 3 looks a lot better. The set piecey stuff is a lot better too. Like you do like some stuff on some boats. Maybe that's 4. Wait, is that 4 or 3? I cannot remember. Maybe it's both. I know 2 different games, Uncharted 2 and I think Lost Legacy, both have an extended train chase sequence, which is exactly the same. So maybe I'm mixing up my boat sequences as well. But I mean, but whatever.
Hey, you loot one boat, you looted them all, right?
Yeah. They're all
maybe
all
be a
boats.
little bit careful with spoilers telling everybody about stuff on boats.
Oh, you know what? If you give a fuck about these games, I don't give a fuck about you. So you can have all the spoilers you want. What do you think of that? No, I don't know how to explain it, but there's a part where in Uncharted 3 you get to the desert. You're like marooned in the desert and you just walk across it for so long in random directions because it's just scripted. You just keep walking in a direction and it's, oh, I need water. Nathan Drake is dying. Oh, here's an oasis. Oh no, it's a well that's dry. Oh my God. I swear it goes on so long. It's incredible. See, if I take back anything bad I said about Bayonetta 3, the desert sequence.
I was about to ask if it was worse than that.
It was at least that actually felt like a video game, even though it got so stuck, I had to look it up. I preferred Bayonetta 3's thing to this. This was just like, I just rather, if I guess this is just a general thing about how I feel about these games, but if you're going to take away that much player agency from me, just make it a cutscene. Seriously, just let me watch it. I don't need to fake pretend I'm crawling through the desert, walking real slow with the thumbstick. It's just annoying to quote unquote play. Just make me look at it then. That's what you really want. Because it doesn't feel interactive. It feels like shit. It culminates anyway, after you get to this desert, it culminates in some of the dumbest shit I've ever seen in a video game. The most implausible, improbable, impossible shit you've ever, like stunts you've ever, and I get maybe that's like the calling card of the series, but even for me, this was like too stupid. It was like dumber than any like Steven Seagal movie I'd seen, or like it was the dumbest. Like I'm willing to suspend disbelief, but holy fuck. So Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy, I popped for the $10 upgrade for the PS5 versions, which I'm really glad I did because DualSense support, 120 frames a second, rock solid. These, I mean, they didn't really touch up the visuals any like they did in the trilogy because they didn't really need to. This just running like that was honestly excellent to see and felt great to play if you want to consider it gameplay. So Uncharted 4, I think Uncharted 4 does have the boat sequence because it starts out like that, but you're just driving the speedboat really fast at night, so you can't see what's going on, and these other like little Kawasaki's are trying to catch up to you. I'll get you, but you just kind of ram them with the boat and they explode. Right, like it like what the fuck? Yeah, it doesn't, dude. I should have taken a bit. You know what? I'll play it again because it's right at the beginning of the game. I'll load it up and show you. It is so stupid.
What did they strap the Kawasaki's with dynamite or something? Like,
yeah. They just get like. I mean, it's just like, well, why can my boat? Yeah, my boat is bigger, but I can't just go ramming stuff and expect me to stay upright and just like they're dead. I don't know. It's just, come on, man. Yeah, and then like so in Uncharted 4, they give him a grappling hook, which really sets off the stupid shit. Now I can like Tarzan my way to like other stupid platforms I need to climb. It's just really dumb. The Uncharted 4 was actually my least favorite one. It's like somehow less of a video game than before because at least in the old games, they didn't waste your time. You could just needlessly kill hundreds of people, take cover behind this and that. Okay, now I'm on a Jeep and I'm shooting a few more people and Jeeps explode when I shoot them twice. And like, yeah, everything explodes in this game because like, but like through chapter 7 of Uncharted 4, there was like nobody to shoot except this one prison escape sequence that was like the most scripted shit I've ever played, like more scripted than a Call of Duty. Seriously, it was terrible. So I've been like several hours in this game already, and I'm like, oh my god, can I actually just shoot somebody? And there's just endless cutscenes about Nathan Drake's past and this and that. I just don't care. So Uncharted 4 is my least favorite, just because it wasted my time a lot. I just didn't care. Like, let me shoot guys, and it's over in 7-8 hours. But Lost Legacy was actually kind of a video game. First of all, it starred two characters that I actually liked, the two ladies, which I don't want to explain who they are, but they were actually interesting people, so that's a big improvement. And then, like, you use, like, an honest-to-God map to, like, go around to locations at your leisure and find a few things, which culminates in, like, you opening something to the next area. My God, it actually felt like a video game. Now, I mean, it's not like open. I mean, it's not like Horizon or Far Cry or something. It's not that crazy with it. But, like, I at least felt like I was doing something, you know? But then at the end, as I said, Lost Legacy ends with some giant fucking train sequence. And it's so boring and so scripted. So they couldn't resist the big, loud, dumb ending. They just couldn't resist. So whatever. Man, again, I wish I could remember whether that train sequence was in 2 or 3 or something. I really don't remember. Anyway, these games were miserable, guys. Like, I cannot believe I played them all. I mean, I had Dead Space downloaded since like the end of January here, and I put it off for like a week and a half so I could play these stupid fucking things.
So you've spent like 50, 60 hours on this endeavor. Did you get anything out of it, or just the feeling of taking a giant shit when it was done?
I enjoyed, okay, as far as Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy, those games actually looked incredible with the upgrade. They kind of looked good before anyway, but like they honestly were kind of a technical marvel. I actually thought they looked stupendous and running so buttery smooth. Like I did enjoy it from a graphical angle, whereas like the Uncharted trilogy, the PS3 games are a little too aged for me to enjoy on that level. But 4 and Lost Legacy, absolutely. And like I said, I actually did like the characters and story of Lost Legacy. I did enjoy that. So it wasn't a complete loss. I mean, I guess.
This is a long road to get to a few likable characters.
Yeah. And like, you know, when you're actually just shooting people in Uncharted, I think the gameplay is fine enough. You know, oh, I got to go grab this gun. I'm almost out of ammo. Okay, these guys are creeping up on me. Like that kind of action stuff is fun. It's just the rest of the game is just like not fun. I just kind of wish I could just shoot people the whole time. But like, you know, again, it's not a complete 100% loss. I just, you know, man. But no, I made it through. I played on the Uncharted's. Like I said, I'm currently playing Dead Space. I'm almost done with it. Don't do what I did. Play Dead Space instead.
Again, the offer stands. I have a physical copy of Golden Abyss that I'm more than happy to send in the mail your way.
I am
Fans,
not,
if this is what you want, tell him on Twitter.
I am not playing Golden fucking Abyss. If I decide to play the God of Wars, I am not playing those PSP ones. I'm just not doing it. So like we can leave those out. No, thank you.
Fine.
Can someone talk about something that's not Uncharted, please? I feel like the audience, like, I hope they enjoyed my bloodletting, but I'm sure they're as tired of this as I am.
I can talk about something that's not Uncharted.
Okay.
I know everybody's been waiting on the edge of their seats for Fine Time serious journalistic review of Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah, you know why? Because IGN came out with a review that said, "Oh, you know what? This game is okay, but it's broken in places, and there's other problems with it." And 9.0.
Yep.
Well, so yeah, and I a lot of the time I've spent playing, I'm about 17 hours into this as of this morning.
Wow.
And I've thought about it through the lens of a lot about the reviews. So I think that's kind of how I want to tackle it. And we talked about this before it came out. Of course, we knew there were going to be negative reviews for obvious reasons, but also expecting that there were going to be a lot of like unfairly positive biased reviews because, you know, the people who are reviewing it just happen to be hardcore Harry Potter fans. And so it's going to get colored more by the franchise than the game experience itself. And I think, as I've said before, I'm just not going to get a whole ton of jollies just out of getting the Hogwarts experience. I think Harry Potter's fine, but
there's also
it's
people
not...
who want to. There's also people who want to make like a big statement. I think like Wired gave it a 1 out of 10 or something like that. Or,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like there's that too, throwing it off. So yeah,
it was almost impossible to find like a legitimate as a video game. Is this good? You know, from that perspective only. So the way I've kind of structured this, I'm going to talk about, I guess, you know, what I think is good about the game and kind of how I compare that to the, you know, some of the criticisms, and then working towards what I think is explicitly bad about the game that I feel like has been completely glossed over, to be honest. So yeah, I guess Steve had already mentioned there was concerns about the technical aspects of the game. Now again, so I didn't play this until obviously it was available to the public, but I did see people online saying like, you know, this is apparently this is broken to the point of being unplayable. And that was definitely being taken out of context. So I'm playing this on Xbox. In my experience, generally, especially lately, the Xbox version has performed worse than the PlayStation version. And honestly, in those 17 hours, the worst I've had is what I would say is minor graphical glitches. Anybody that played Final Fantasy VII Remake at launch knows where there was that, you know, you get closer to textures and they're not loading in as they should as you walk up to them.
that like Unreal 3 effect-ish kind of thing.
Yeah. And it even like shows up like in tiles. So you'll be, you know, like walking along a path and like one like square tile of it looks like it's nice, like HD gravel. And then the other one is just a big blurry mess. So that's definitely happening here.
That is so Borderlands 1. Like that's crazy.
And other than that, there was one time where in a cutscene, when a person was standing up close to the camera, there was a bunch of like black specks like appearing on the textures on their clothing and stuff. But realistically, you know, other than aesthetic issues that I'm expecting they are going to clean up, I don't think the technical aspects of this are what deserves criticism.
I was a little concerned because I saw like some building faces and stuff that had like those like super duper tiled textures, you know what I mean? Like that kind of like PS3 or PS2 era, like repeating like tiles and stuff of like walls and bricks and stuff like that. That's the kind of stuff I saw where it's like, you know, no, it wasn't like Scarlet and Violet bad, but it kind of looked a little like, you know, for like a current gen. I understand it's cross gen, but you know, that's kind of stuff I saw that I didn't like.
And I suppose maybe that's like somewhat more cherry picked examples. Personally, my takeaway and probably my favorite thing about this game is the world that they've built, and it's. We kind of talked about this with God of War Ragnarok in comparison to Horizon Forbidden West, where, you know, Ragnarok felt, you know, to me much more like handcrafted, and I really do get that here as well. As much as I love Forbidden West, there was a sense where there was, you know, they've got these very large biomes basically, and they've got a certain amount of assets, and they, you know, not that it feels overly repeated, but there are X amount of assets that they're using to build these things, and it feels much more customized with this, especially the castle, and that's obviously the star here. You know, it doesn't feel like it's just an extremely large building for the sake of being extremely large. So it's, I think just in that fact itself, because I've never really played an like a large open world game that's essentially centered around one very large building. So I think that's kind of like one of the things that makes this feel a bit more unique. The world itself is much larger than I would have expected. But on the flip side, when, you know, we're comparing this to Horizon Forbidden West, on Horizon, you know, you've got your snow area, and then there's a desert area, and there's a swamp area. Here in the open world outside the castle, it's not that it's all the same, but you're kind of restricted to like what you would expect as far as like forests, mountains, lakes, rivers, you know, stuff like that. You're not going to find a desert area and a snow area and everything.
So you do really get to go outside then.
You get to go outside way further than I would have expected. Yeah, it's not as big as something as Horizon, but there's a lot of areas where they've got like old crumbling castles or, you know, a train station or whatever, and it's pretty big.
Okay.
So, one other thing, I've seen a lot of criticism of people saying that they felt like the game was trying to do too much. And there is a lot of different systems there, but I just didn't feel like that. It feels like all of the things that they've implemented play well together, and none of those things really feel like they're needlessly shoehorned in. I get the sense that development on this went fairly smooth, and it was well planned out from the start, because I just don't get the sense that they had these systems they tried to like stick in 3/4 of the way through because somebody decided it would be a good idea, and they just never could get it to mesh with everything else.
As long as that stuff is harmless, though, like something can be like, I think Xenoblade is over systemed, if you will, right? But you don't need to pay attention to all those. Like, Steve, what is that called that I didn't discover till I was almost done? The sticker book or something like that, where you could look at like different. You know what the hell I'm talking about? Yeah, I had no idea. I didn't even know that existed. I was just digging through menus and I was like, whoa, this is here? What the hell is going on? So like, but if I had never discovered it, it wouldn't matter, right, Kevin? So like, you know, you can have a lot going on, but if you don't like need to actually juggle all those things, you can just pay attention to the things that you want to, then, you know, it's fine, right?
Yeah, and I think everything that they've thrown at me is kind of an optional system I've indulged in to a certain degree, and all of it feels, you know, definitely some of that stuff you can ignore, but nothing feels like it's like, you know, it feels out of place necessarily.
Okay.
One other thing I want to, again, bringing up Horizon Forbidden West, which I have wound up finding myself thinking about quite a bit as I play this. I'm a glutton for punishment. I keep going on Twitter and like just reading about Hogwarts Legacy just because it's like,
that sounds like the worst idea.
I know it is. It's a terrible idea. So of course there's a certain group of people that are commenting on, you know, the quote unquote forced diversity in this game.
Oh boy.
Right. And we talked about this in Forbidden West, where it felt organic and it was good to see. So I want to kind of take that criticism and like flip it on its head, whereas it is a little bit jarring in this. And the reason for that is because we've had 7 movies that are 95% predominantly white with the odd token black character, right? So then that's in stark contrast what probably does make it you know, seem, you know, quote unquote out of place. But hopefully that feeling somewhat different is something that people can take and walk away as a commentary on, you know, how movies have been done since the dawn of movies, as opposed to this game. Because I mean, if you want to like think about it rationally, I wouldn't expect this game is set 100 years ago. I don't think that somehow like only 95% of the people that happen to be blessed with magical abilities and got to go to this crazy school just happened to be white. Yeah. And then there was just the odd black person in there to check a box. So, right. Yeah, I guess looking through that context, I think, you know, noting the difference in diversity between the game and the movie can probably be taken as a good thing. And not the way people want to spin it. So moving down the list from the good to bad, the combat actually in reviews wound up getting a lot of praise. Now, I will say that I think the combat is enjoyable. I don't dislike the combat. It's not wearing thin. But I feel like the combat system itself is somewhat artificially complicated, you know, to make it seem deeper due to the control scheme. I don't want to get too far into the weeds, but I'm going to try and kind of explain the control scheme to demonstrate what I'm talking about. So the right trigger button is kind of a like general magic attack, and you kind of would use this to like string together your like stronger like named attacks. To do the named attacks, you hold down that right trigger and then also hit one of the face buttons. Like a lot of these games, this is also centered around, you know, they've got like you get a yellow light around you if you're getting attacked with something that you can block, or a red light if it's something that you can't block and you need to dodge out of the way from. But for the yellow ones, which happens quite regularly, to block, you also have to hit the Y button. Now, thinking about, because we're constantly like mashing the right trigger, and you also hold the right trigger and the Y button to use one of your magic attacks, right? It's a little bit of almost like a learning curve to get into your head to like let everything go and only hold the Y button specifically when you go to dodge. I don't think that's necessarily bad, but I do think that in itself, right? I think all of the praise this is getting as far as the combat system, I think because of these controls, it feels deeper than it actually is, because when you stop and think about it, really this is, dodge out of the way, block, and you use your strong attacks intermixed with your light attacks with no like real system where you need to like do it in a certain order to do a combo or anything.
I think that's what really made me laugh when I saw some combat was the dodge rolling. I thought that looked really silly, just because it's Harry Potter. It's like, how come they can do this? It's weird. I don't know. I just thought like maybe that's not like very, I don't know what the term is, in universe or something, but it's like, I get it. It's a video game, but like, it's weird.
Yeah, well, in the Harry Potter universe, people were a lot more agile 100 years before the movie, obviously.
Yes, apparently.
too many every flavored beans in the ensuing 100 years.
They took dodge roll beans in the
just real quick, a couple minor things that I want to gripe about. I kept hearing that the character creator is great and in depth, and honestly, I thought it was extremely lacking. I kind of got like original Sims vibes from this. There's no sliders for anything. You can't adjust your height. You can't adjust your weight. You can't put hair gel in your hair. I mean, I don't need a super in-depth character creator myself, but just like how this got like touted as a selling point is well beyond me, because I found it incredibly basic.
Probably because it's the first time you could do something in a Harry Potter game like this. So
yeah,
it's like,
I think. Well, and we'll get there. Don't worry, we'll get there.
Oh boy!
And also, I know Steve loves those good long drawn out tutorials, and that's very much in full force here, because you get a good solid hour where it's you have to walk very slowly so you can listen explicitly to them explain these concepts that if you've ever played an open world game before, you already know 90% of these things, and they try and like slowly build the world. So the first hour is very drawn out, which I was not crazy about.
Oh my god!
So Steve needs to accidentally on purpose bring up one of his other recent favorite games from a few years ago, Fire Emblem Three Houses, which was in a giant school, and they used that as part of the story and to tutorialize you along the way. And I guess they didn't do that here, which was also a giant school in a castle. they just made you do a giant tutorial anyway. Is that what you're trying to tell me, Kevin?
They definitely
didn't feel
did.
organic.
No, so you better stay away, or it'll trigger some PTSD for sure. Now I want to talk about.
He goes to bed every night thinking about Valkyrie Elysium. He just clenches his fists, just punches the air, and just falls asleep.
I know that's when Steve's tutorial arc really hit peak.
Yeah.
So, now I want to get into what I feel like is explicitly bad about this game that I haven't really heard criticized. And I've kind of dubbed this the Force Awakens effect. So again, we talked about these reviewers going in and just like needing this Harry Potter experience, and the overall story is definitely not a note for note retelling, but there's so many fucking moments and references that it really for me, it very much took me out of the experience. So I'm going to quickly like list of things off and see if you've ever seen the movies, if this sounds familiar, like going in to get your first wand and trying out 2 or 3, and like wacky issues are happening when you're trying the wrong ones. A major issue when you're trying to get to Hogwarts on the first day and you've got to show up, when everybody's in the eating hall late, doing the like potting the mandrakes and bowing to the hippogriffs, a kid having a big blow up in potions class. We've got a Professor Weasley here. There's a school organized dueling club. And this is literally like, this was like off the top of my head. This is by far not an extensive list of these things that I picked out that, really felt like they were like, well, you want the Harry Potter experience, you got to get like, directly spoon fed. I feel like they really have done an exceptional job with a lot of aspects of this game, but they don't let it stand on its own and let it have its own identity. It's they kind of cut it off at the knees by forcing it to like have so many note for note moments that follow the books and movies. And it for me, it really cheapened the experience. If they were, you could tell they were confident with this in every way, except for giving you the agency to have your own experience. So I don't want the takeaway from this to be that I think this is a bad game, because I very much don't. Every day I'm quite looking forward to playing this. I'm fully invested. I'm very much enjoying the experience. But I'm still having these eye roll moments over and over. So taking it back to the reviews, because this, I don't know where it's at right now, but I think for the first few days, this was sitting around 80% or 87% on Metacritic. And I think that's definitely too generous, because there's a few things. It does everything well. It does the world itself better than most things, but it doesn't like revolutionize anything. And it uses a lot of like spoon-fed nostalgia to really get people on the hook. It's a good game, but I sure don't think it's the 9 out of 10 that I think that 9 out of 10, a lot of that comes from people like needing to get their Harry Potter experience.
They go ahead, Steve.
I was just going to ask Kevin, the trying to get to Hogwarts on the first day, that's unavoidable.
That's unavoidable. Yeah, it's full, animated cutscene.
Because I was reading this through the notes the other night, breaking the fourth wall a bit, and it was that particular issue reminded me of Bully in particular. If anyone remembers that game,
yeah,
and
I remember
and
Bully.
I was reminded of it even more when you're talking about, well, it's bigger than you thought, but it's not Horizon Zero Dawn big, and I'm like, is this Bully but for Hogwarts? Because this
is definitely this is 100%. I wouldn't classify Bully as open world. Bully's got like interconnected large environments. This is very much open world.
It just not having its own identity on the story front is really
sad.
Just doesn't seem like something. Imagine if Jedi Fallen Order was like Return of the Jedi exactly, or something. You know what I mean? Like if they just followed those like story beats or something, it just wouldn't feel. I'm just any example like that. I guess we could do. But.
I think The Force Awakens is a good parallel, because again, I'm not the main story here is different than like the main arc in Harry Potter. It's just so many of these like one-off like note moments, or even like references to the movies that they feel they need to force in. And I felt like that when I watched The Force Awakens as well. For that, there was so many parallels that I drew between The Force Awakens and A New Hope, that it was like often at the forefront of my mind as I was watching that. And I'm feeling the same way here, where it's taking away from the experience for me personally.
As someone who's never seen A New Hope, I mean, it just felt like, okay, I guess this is a Star Wars movie, right? I saw The Force Awakens. See, were you done? Sorry, I didn't.
Yeah, I think I'm done.
Okay.
So, no, that other sound was me rolling my eyes at Andre not seeing A New Hope.
I know he's baiting us because he knows that he should get yelled at for that one. But
you guys know I haven't seen anything. Don't remind Steve that neither of us have seen Indiana Jones movies.
I feel like Indiana Jones is fine, but like the original Star Wars trilogy, like that's
Never
very
seen
high
it.
in the most. You're fucked.
Steve, I think Steve has a little bobble before we go to break here.
Yeah, it's a little bobble. I've been busy with, extracurricular activities and Splatfest. What the hell were you all doing picking white chocolate? You're all nasty. You're all nasty people picking white chocolate.
Jesus Christ. Man.
I did dark chocolate. Were you guys dark chocolates?
We were dark chocolate.
Okay.
Dark chocolate's the best chocolate.
I actually, in real life, I like milk chocolate because I like symphony bars, but dark chocolate had purple and that's the color I wanted. So I had to pick dark chocolate.
Representation for diabetes.
Symphony is a fine chocolate bar, I must say, on the air.
Yeah.
But I found time to play another Devolver game in my pile, because that was next in my digital section in my quest to free up space on that fucking SD card. And I found Stories Untold. And guys, guess what? It's not Crossing Souls, so we're already off to a roaring start. It's a text-based adventure with a lot of visual aids. Oh, you mean like a point and click? No, text-based adventure. You have a bunch of small horror or thriller type stories, and you have a bunch of settings like a haunted C64, or an operating room and a weather station. and you have to enter in these commands to make the story go along. And there's just a lot of fun little things that happen along to try and freak you out.
So it's like multiple choice Mad Libs?
Not necessarily multiple choice, but you do have like you're given reference materials on how on whatever you're supposed to be doing works, and you're supposed to reference, and they're all in the game. You don't have to go online to or anything like that. They give you everything that you would need to operate whatever you need to parse through.
Okay,
like how these old games would give you like these giant books to use for reference material. Like when you reach a certain point, they just give you all that stuff. And I already see Kevin's eyes glazing. I'm like, oh my God, can't we just do real fucking surgery, Steven? And yeah, and that's in that way, that game is definitely not going to be for everyone. And this game was definitely more ready for consoles than Red String Club was. And even though figuring out how some of the materials work was a little tougher in one of the later chapters because it was definitely not optimized for consoles in that way, especially on a certain page, you have pre-entered commands like a list of words for most of it on console, but it's still pretty tricky for a lot of it. It's over in a few hours, so you're not spending your whole life on it, but I thought it was worth it. I thought we were like done with this sort of goofy text adventure shit. I mean, of course Devolver's going to find the one person that was still making it.
You made it sound as if Kevin's review of Valhalla was like, go home and be a family bartender or something.
It's not just Valhalla. I feel like anytime we're playing anything that's a visual novelty, he's like, "Oh my God, you guys!"
Well, you want to know what fucking grinds my gears? I talk about Andre baiting with Star Wars every week lately. Steve's like, "Oh, I played another game from Devolver," and I'm like, "Oh, maybe this is week," and he's like, "Oh, it was a fucking visual text adventure," and then I'm like, "Well, you guys, Minute is on the PS Plus with Cheese Store. It's really good, and you can play for free." And then the next week, he's like, "Well, I played another game from Devolver. It was."
I have Minute on Switch. It's on the list, Kevin. I'm busy with a lot of stuff. All right,
we'll legit forgot that you suggested I should play Minute. Completely forgot.
And it's very short. Like I'm talking 2 or 3 hours. You can be done with Minute.
Wow. Okay, then maybe I will. Maybe after Dead Space here, I'll do it as a palate cleanser.
Okay, I think you'd like it.
All right. Well, we'll be right back, and we're going to get to the star of our show, the bread and butter of the show.
Sexy shower.
No, goddammit. We're not talking about the Nintendo. We'll be right back. I need to whip these guys into shape. We'll be back.
He looks fine to me.
Yeah. Everything looks fine to you, okay? God.
What's that supposed to mean?
Everything looks fine to you. I don't know what that means. I have no idea what that means.
What?
You can't tell I'm not in 120 frames per second right now, Steven.
Yeah.
Not on this monitor, I can't.
All right.
Not on this PC Richards piece of shit.
You know what? I'm going to leave that in. Okay, we're back. Let's talk about Nintendo Direct, shall we? We weren't talking about nothing at all before you guys got here. Not at all. So, all right. We're not, obviously, whenever we do one of these, we're not going to cover every single thing that's in there, only if we really have something to say about it. And we have a lot to say about a lot of these, because this was, let's just say off the top, was this the best Direct we've covered on Fine Time so far, Steve?
I think so. Probably. I'd say so. And the last one had Earthbound in it. So, I'm already, going to be biased there.
Had Earthbound in it?
Oh well, no, the one from last year. No, there was one in the fall.
Oh
Never
my
mind.
God, Kevin, is this the best?
This was definitely the girthiest direct I think that we've had since we started Fine Time.
Yes, there was a lot of meat. There was a lot of slapping meat. Why am I slapping the meat?
Because it's girthy.
Yes, it makes a good sound.
Do we want to
to
start again after you're done slapping the meat, Andre?
No. Everyone knows we slap the meat.
He's going to slap his meat the whole fucking time we're doing this.
I'm going to start a little bit, I guess, negative or whatever. People might think I'm kind of whatever, but we'll just start here because the direct started here with Pikmin 4. So here's where I'm at with Pikmin 4. I really enjoyed Pikmin 3, but it felt like a step backwards, as I felt like it didn't have like that overworld tension of the first game, which obviously because there's no time limit, so you can't really have that. But it also didn't have like the dungeoning expertise of the second one, which is why Pikmin 2 is my favorite, because those dungeons are the game for me. That shit is the best. And it had a little bit of that kind of stuff, but like not nearly as extensive, or I guess a better term, like difficult. I really like the difficulty of Pikmin 2, the bite, and it didn't have that in Pikmin 3. Pikmin 4 so far just seems to have a dog, a Pikmin dog. Like, and I don't know, man. Like, that's not enough for me right now. So yeah, I'm gonna get it when it comes out, and I'll play it, and I'll probably love it, whatever. But like right now, I'm not really that excited.
You bought the fucking organizing game the other day that was entirely marketed off of having a cat.
Okay,
I'm just
but like,
saying.
Oh, I mean, oh my God! Why are you ratting me out? First of all, you're just telling the audience all my business. Secondly, fuck off, Steve.
I thought we weren't being ashamed of that anymore. I thought I was the weirdo for not liking it.
I mean, well, save me. Start talking about Pikmin, please. Save me from this.
Save you from what, Andre? I thought you weren't supposed to be ashamed of that.
Oh my fucking God.
Anyway, you know what? There actually was supposed to be a degree of tension in Pikmin 3. Do you know you could actually lose if you don't bring enough fruit around?
How would that be possible?
Yeah, that's the problem. If you've played a Pikmin game before, you there's a good chance you're always like going to bring in enough fruit to keep it around. But you can actually like not bring enough fruit. If you don't do it, you have to like restart from an earlier day, and there's like this and there's like this very grim game over scene where they're like starving in the ship.
You ever see the bad ending of Pikmin, the original,
Yes.
where you don't have enough parts or something? You're just like, well, I guess I'll live here for a number of years before I get eaten. Maybe I could make out a life here.
Oh no, it's even worse than that. He tries to launch the ship, fails, and then they make him into a Pikmin.
That's right. That was really creepy. That must have been a weird dream Miyamoto had.
I mean, must have been.
Kevin, do you give a shit? I mean, like, I forget. Where's your Pikmin? Did you play the original recently?
I keep trying, and then I always get stalled out on like day 4. One of these days, I'm gonna roll up my sleeves and really give it the college. I'm just here to fucking pick on you for the cat organizing game. That's it.
Oh my God!
Unlike Kevin, I like me some Pikmin. There's a Pikmin dog here, loosely based off that bread enemy thing, and I'm here for that. I don't like that we had to wait another decade for it, but I just want the bread dog amiibo, and we're not getting one.
Do you agree with my assessment, though? Don't you feel like Pikmin 3 wasn't as good as 2?
It wasn't, but I did like it.
Okay.
Here's a question. Okay, for somebody that was going to get into Pikmin, where's the best place to start? Do you think Pikmin 4 maybe would be the best place to start? Or
I would say 3.
Start at 1? Yeah.
I would say 3. Yeah, I would say 3. Because like that'll give you the best of both worlds. You'll get the fun dungeoning of the first one, and it's a little difficult. It's not as good as 2, but then you'll have the overworld stuff where it's not as pressing that you do this and that. So, and again, as long as you don't get enough fruit, which seems impossible, you would have to try to not do that. I would actually say pick a Pikmin 3 Deluxe for Switch then.
Okay.
Honestly.
I think the bulk of what's coming is they teased that right at the end that we're going to have Pikmin after dark, which is the first time we'll be doing that, and that might be
that's weird.
Where the bulk of that is coming from. But we didn't see any of that. Might have been something to show, but they didn't.
Usually, anytime they add After Dark to something, you got to watch it after midnight on those channels that start with 900.
Pikmin After Dark. Or, they should start a protected account called like Pikmin AD on Twitter. That would be really funny if they actually leaned into that, like marketing wise. That would actually be really, really good. You can't do that because the game's probably rated D10 or something like that, but whatever. Okay. Steve wants to go off on you kids for some reason, so I'm going to let him have the floor right now.
Yeah, we got past news for Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and Fire Emblem Engage, and I understand we need to build up hype for the rest of the passes, but harkening back to however many episodes ago with the Cool It with the Spoilers chat, there's a finite amount of money, and more importantly, a finite amount of time. And even if it was okay to just start flinging around what looks like twists for an 8-month-old game like Xenoblade 3, it's not. Fire Emblem Engage isn't even a month old yet, so maybe we want to let us play the fucking game before we start selling us on add-ons that show off like an end story thing going on. Or maybe have Expansion Pass Direct if you really, really, really need to start selling us up on that shit from now. Because you didn't ever need to do that before. You used to be. I remember when they did the Xenoblade 2 and they were showing that off. They just said a new Xenoblade 2 story that takes place before the events of the game, and that's all they needed to say. And right up until it was ready. Now they're like shooting their load, right, like long before it's ready, and I don't know. I feel like these have been very strong passes where they can still really do that, and I still feel there's only been one real dud of a pass so far. I don't know. I just don't like the way these two were particularly handled this time.
I got really confused while watching it because it said like, Camilla and whoever. I'm just recognizing the people I know from Warriors. And then it was just like, well, that's not in the past. That's not in the part of the past that's coming out today. That's like in part 4 or something like that. And it's like, okay, then why did you say all that? Like, I mean, I get that you want to tease what's coming up, but like it made it seem like that was coming out immediately. And that was not the case. Like
it would have been even showing that would have been like, okay, it wouldn't have been my favorite to know all the characters coming, but I'm like, all right. But to start showing off the story beat like immediately, like, come on, couldn't you give that some breathing room, like a hair?
Okay, I'll take your word for it. You're the man who plays these, so you tell the kids what's what. But I think we all have a little bit to say or LOL at the DLC that was revealed for the Splatoon 3 game. I got an email from Nintendo today, the usual thing where one, they said, thank you for playing the Splatoon 3 game, which always makes it sound like the game is ending. I don't know why they phrase emails that way. They've been doing that since like Breath of the Wild. They've been doing it the whole Switch era. It's like, thank you for playing Breath of the Wild. It's like, well, what are you shutting it down? I mean, it's Zelda. Why are you saying it this way? 2, the Splatoon 3 game DLC. They're all about that. Anyway, this was shown in the Direct last week, and Steve, you start. So they showed what? DecaPolice? This is from the first Splatoon game, which I never played.
It's from the Splatoon game, from Wii U in 2015. And what do you get in Splatoon and DecaPolice? You get the weapon shop and all the clothing shops, but yes, they have the different people inside, but they're going to sell you the same shit that they sell you in Splatsville in the third game. So what they're selling you is a giant hat for your Splatoony character.
Certainly, they gotta have some like clothes or whatever that was in the first game that you could only get from this. Like it seems insane to do this and not.
But they
have,
specified, right? They were like, they're selling you all the same stuff that you can get in the main game.
But then what I didn't get was a Splatfest. So like, yeah, you could see Callie and Marie do the song, but like, it's still the same Splatfest as we're doing in like.
again, just another cosmetic. They'll be singing instead of Shark and Fry.
But like, and Big Man, because there's 3 people with 3 opinions with 3 things to choose for Splatfest. If you just have 2 people singing, that doesn't make any sense anymore.
It's just cosmetics. It's a big DLC cosmetic. And the only reason you'd be bothering at all is because of the second part, which is going to be looks like another single player campaign.
Well, hold on. I want to dunk on we'll talk about that in just a second. I need to like harp on the fact that they're really undermining their like entire thing for Splatoon 3. I really think so. Like, it feels like they're just making so many weird decisions. Like, you notice that ever since not on this chocolate Splatfest, but the last one too, they changed the tricolor battle so like anybody could be the 4 in the middle, not just the team that's in the lead. So like anybody could queue as like the team. The whole point of doing that was that the team in the lead would be at a slight disadvantage because they have to fend off the other ones in this tricolor battle. Now, if anyone could do that, what's the point? Am I wrong, or am I just like thinking about this too much? I just don't like. Why did they even set it up that way in the first place?
Well, I think players were sabotaging too, because you would log in and either half as a joke or half not. You'd see all the messages that say, "Well, time to go play Salmon Run," and then even if you'd select tricolor, on purpose, you'd almost never actually get to play it.
That wasn't my experience. I got to play tricolor quite a bit, but I guess the first 2 Splatfests, we were the team in the lead. I picked the currently winning side. So maybe it was different for me, but like there's just been a lot of strange decisions like that, like lately with this game. I don't know. It's strange. It's not that I'm not enjoying the cycle of Splatoon or anything. It's just that like, I don't know. Don't undermine your concept, especially with like bringing back the original Splatoon stuff for no particular reason.
Oh, you know what this is? The eShops are closing soon, and you won't have access to the first game anymore. And And this is how you're going to access the first game, kind of, because, spoiler alerts, these are all largely the same game, but slightly better each time.
Yeah, that's kind of the point. Anyway.
And so, yeah, guess what, kids at home? You could still play Splatoon 1 after all. You dumb shits on Twitter that are like, where's Splatoon 1 gonna go? I liked playing on my gamepad.
Oh, shut up. Oh, my God. Something that drove me insane when Splatoon 2 was announced was like, how are you going to do this and that without a gamepad? Because you have to touch the gamepad to do blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you fucking idiots. You don't have to, what are you talking about? You can't squid jump to somebody without a gamepad? Are you fucking stupid? Like, I don't know. That drove me insane. And I didn't even really play Splatoon, but like a little bit. But I knew what anyway, I'm sorry. Wii U feelings, Wii U poison getting out of me. Anyway, but they didn't show what we were going to talk before I started bitching about the actual like single player expansion thing, of which they didn't show a whole lot of, but I guess promising.
Excuse me. The Octo expansion in the second game was actually very good, and if that follows a similar vein, where it's going to be worth the price tag with or without the Ankopolis hat, it really will.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Aesthetically, the second DLC looks very interesting, but there's just a whole lot of not color to fill up with color.
Yeah.
Well, it's based off the end of the second Splatfest, where we had to choose between Chaos and Order, and Marina's throwing a hissy fit now. At least that's what I think they're going with it.
Because she knows she's the better character.
Yes, she is, but
I don't know. So, Kevin, you agree? Ankopolis weird? Like, I don't.
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if they're going to take any of the negative feedback, because it seemed like it was, anything I seen of anybody saying anything about this, it wasn't like real positive about that first DLC. Maybe they'll find some way to add some substance to it.
I really hope so, because like right now I am flatly like not interested in that, but whatever. Even as someone who's never really played the original Splatoon, but like a little bit, I just can't. So they showed Mario Kart 8 Wave 4 of DLC, which, we're getting our usual stuff, but there was an original track in there. that was a shocker. It's Yoshi's Island, as in like it looks like SNES based like Yoshi's Island.
Mhm.
That was cool. I never thought, I mean, I guess they never explicitly said all of them are going to be old tracks, but like it's kind of weird to see an original one here, no? Even though it still doesn't look like the polish of the base game, not that I expected it to be for the price, but I guess that's cool that they're doing that.
Well, not even the price. I think just like the aesthetics of Yoshi's Island probably lends itself well to not having to be as fully detailed.
Yeah, that sketchy style Steve.
I was more impressed to see a new character, to be honest, even if it's just a rainbow of Birdos.
I mean, full disclosure, I only picked like 3 characters in this game. I didn't really know that Birdo wasn't there. I never really thought about it. So
I didn't really think about it either until they popped her on the screen. Although there was someone was poking around and they said on one of the other press releases, and they said other characters are supposed to pop up in the future. I'm hoping for Rob, but we'll see.
That would be nice. That'd be super nice. Okay. Can we LOL at Samba de Amigo Party Central real quick? Because this looked really cheap and kind of sad. Like, I'm going to go out on a limb and say this had no budget, which is not a limb at all, because look at it. Like, look, I don't care about Samba de Amigo, but like this, I know this series does not deserve to be made like on the cheap like this. I feel bad for anyone who cares about these. This looked like a mobile port, Steve.
When I was younger, Samba de Amigo was this mythical game that showed up in game magazines where you got these maraca controllers and you had to shake to the beat or whatever. And you'd read about it because no one else that had a Dreamcast ever got this. And you figured, well, they're never going to make this ever again. And then they did make that on the Wii. And we had fun with it there. And maybe they should have stopped because this is just kind of sad.
Wasn't Wii just a port, though? Was it just Dreamcast port?
It might have been.
Yeah, but regardless.
Never played the Dreamcast one.
I've never played any Samba de Amigo, but I thought maybe it was a port. But
it may well be, but I liked it back when. But
speaking of ports, Steve.
Yeah, Ghost Trick is getting an HD remaster. I've never played one, except for maybe a time where I might have beamed a demo to my DS. That's where it originally was. I just keep skipping it whenever it appears. I hope it's good.
I am looking forward to this. I almost dead ass bought this on iOS like 2 weeks ago because I had bought Phoenix Wright 6 recently, and I was like, a lot of Capcom games are up there, including Ghost Trick. So like this Ghost Trick on Switch is probably based off of that port on iOS, if I had to guess, which would be fine because like I've been saying, I think the iPad is like the premier way to play like Phoenix Wright lately. So it's just perfect. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this on Switch. I will definitely get this version. I've never played it myself, but okay, Steve, buckle up. We need to talk about something near and dear to both of our hearts, but for completely different reasons and avenues, which would be Level 5. Think they're making a bit of a comeback here.
Holy shit, Gondre. I had these guys marked for dead. I was waiting for someone to buy them out or announce bankruptcy or something, but not necessarily one after the other, but we had DecaPolice and Fantasy Life I, and Professor Layton and the New World of Steam got a teaser. I mean,
unbelievable, right? Like, that's incredible. Level 5 is fucking back.
I want all these games to be amazing. I mean, it's very trite to say everyone loves a comeback story, but I want this to be real for them.
So, DecaPolice, they showed first, right? And I was looking at this, and it's extremely up my alley. I saw the battle system. I saw the art style. I was like, okay, if anyone out there is old like I am, it gave me a Gunsmith Cats vibe. If everyone remembers that property. But okay.
I've seen pictures. Sorry.
Okay. But it gave me a Gunsmith Cats vibe. Like, but yeah, the turn-based battling looks great. I hope that the dungeons, quote unquote, are like the city almost like SMP5. I hope it's just like the area or like the streets of whatever is like the dungeon. That would be fun to do, like investigations, if you will, that way. If you are if that indeed how it's plays. But then at the end, I saw the level 5 logo at the end of the DecaPolice shit. I was like, oh shit. It's almost like, you know how they try to hide M. Night Shyamalan's name for a while, like when his name was Mud, like 10 years ago, and it's like, we don't really want them to know. What was that one with Will Smith and Jaden Smith? Remember that shit? And they hid that it was like an M. Night Shyamalan movie. Like they didn't even like put his name on it. Like that's how it felt like when they snuck in the level 5 and then the DecaPolice. I was like, oh, it's level 5. But now that name might not be Mud anymore, Steve, if we see it.
Yeah, later on they showed off Fantasy Life I, and I have a lot of negative things to say about that first one because of its history, but and I'm even a little bit curious about if listen, I've done more research on Brownie Brown. Oh, it's a big headache. Basically, to spare everyone, they've actually split off into One Up Studios, which is at Nintendo still, but there's another separate company that came out from that, Brownies, and they've got 2 games on. Yeah, Brownies, and they've got 2 games on their resume right now. They got Doraemon Story of Seasons and some mobile game, Egalia something or other, and it looks exactly like all the other anime mobile gacha games you've ever seen. So I'm kind of wondering. It's a little too soon to tell. I'm wondering if if Brownies got contracted to help with this. That no one said one way or the other.
You know the YouTube channel World of Long Plays, right? They have their most viewed video for some reason is a Doraemon game for Turbo CD. It has tens of millions of views. And it was weird. And they even commented on their shit like, why is this getting so many views all of a sudden? I think most of the comments were like Brazilian. Maybe there was like some Brazilian version of Doraemon. I don't know. You said Doraemon and it reminded me of that.
Well, Doraemon, I feel like, is popular everywhere but here. Every time they try to make it be something here, it falls flat. But I feel like everywhere else, he is something.
Yeah, I think that's true. Do you want to talk about Bayonetta Origins? Because I don't.
I just wanted to say that I like it. I like it when I look at it more, but then I remember Bayonetta 3 and I'm like, maybe on sale.
Maybe never. Fool me twice, shame on me. Kevin, why don't you tell us about your favorite game of the Direct, Disney Illusion Islands?
Yeah, this stuck out to me as looking really bad. I don't know. I thought the level design just looked like insanely basic and very much like early 2000s Flash gamey. But not that I was lined up to buy this in the first place, but I was strangely offended by this.
I was kind of offended. Sorry, real quick. I was kind of offended by the fact they're trying to evoke those like classic Genesis games, and it doesn't. It clearly is not getting there. I played those games recently on the Genesis Mini during lockdown, and I played them a lot. And I went back to them like, no, those games are better than I remember. They were incredible. This just kind of, I don't hate it as much as you, but Steve is a Disney guy. I'll let him have his day here.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of am the target audience for this, sort of. And they had they did announce this last year at D23, and that teaser looked okay. But now we're looking,
what the fuck is D23, bro? What the hell are you talking about?
That's the big expo where they have all the Disney nerds go and they announce all their shit.
Oh, okay.
Movies and TV and
it's Disney E3 basically.
It's Disney E3.
Okay.
Although, yeah, I think last year was the first one where they announced video games because they're like, we're putting Gargoyles Genesis on modern platforms. And they're like, oh, really? You're not going to make a new Gargoyles game? Okay.
We're bringing back our toys to life.
But anyway, now that we're looking more at it, it looks bland. Like, this whole, we need to make this so that one or all 4 of you playing this needs to fairly easily clear the levels. School of game design is I don't know. I feel like we needed to come further along with this in the past decade since New Super Mario U.
It is not fun to play a New Super Mario Brothers game with people. I'm just gonna
No.
say it. Like, I don't think it's not fun. You just play them by yourself, honestly. I got so fucking pissed playing New Super Mario Brothers Wii with like 2 other people. We were playing it 3
Everybody just
player.
gets in the way.
Yeah, it's not their fault either. And like, you're not trying to be mad at them, but it sounds like you are. You know what I mean? It's just a mess. It just ruins relationships.
I literally had to
Don't
carry
do it.
people to the finish line playing with other people.
Yeah.
It's funny this even got brought up because just like 2 nights ago, Matthew and I were playing new Super Luigi U on the Wii U, and this lasted for like 20 minutes because I could feel myself like gritting my teeth wanting to like meanly berate him. So I was just like, well, One World, that's good. We better turn it off for now.
Oh man.
Like over and over, like, we only got 99 seconds. Fuck.
I like New Super Luigi U. If someone got in my way, maybe 2 players could be okay if you're really like you're used to each other's like the way you play games. Maybe me and Vin could ace a New Super Mario Brothers game. And we really play a lot of games together, but you know, I don't know, probably not. But okay, we love Katamari REROLL. I think this is really strange to do this. Like, what, 4 years after the original Katamari Damacy REROLL? That's like a long time. I mean, look, I'm glad it's happening, but it's weird.
I don't know what was going on after that first one, because I know they all flew off the shelves immediately. Then they did a reprint. So I'm like, did you like the sales of this or not? But I like playing the first REROLL. I'll come back for this one.
Me too. In my opinion, We Love Katamari is the only other good Katamari game. All the others blow. So like, I'm glad they're doing this one. If they do any more, I'm going to ignore them. Kevin, are you a Katamari man? It doesn't seem like you would be.
No, I am. I played
Okay.
I played the last REROLL, and I've played We Love Katamari on 360 quite a bit. So I'm excited that they added some new content to this because get something fresh out of it.
Cool. That's good. Yeah, I had a ball playing REROLL as well because, like, you know, when the original came out, it was kind of quirky and weird, and some people in this country weren't really used to seeing. But I was like, was that it? Was it just the music I liked so much, or was it really? No, I went back and played. The gameplay is, it is so much fun to play that original game. The original game is still my favorite because I just love that purity of the puzzle-ish kind of gameplay, trying to beat that score attack plus, just great stuff. So I'm looking.
It really
forward to
nails that where people talk about like call something strangely satisfying, and starting with a 3 centimeter bowl and then rolling up islands is strangely satisfying to the definition.
Very, very. It is excellent. Okay, now I'm gonna let Kevin take this one because he has been hot on this all week, guys. It is Sea of Stars, the indie RPG that's coming out, and they shadow dropped the demo doing its direct. We all played it, but Kevin's been hot on this, so I want to go first.
Yeah, to be honest, I think out of anything that came out of this direct, this was probably my favorite, was getting the demo. And I was already looking forward to this. I wasn't 100% sold, but just to be honest, because it looks so fucking pretty. But then when we got the demo, it really set me over the top. Everything immediately just feels good. Right when you get set down by the big like baseball golem guy or whatever, it took me a second even to realize what to do, that you can just like hop down those like very short vertical difference areas, and so that they kind of expand on that with the climbing and everything. That there's an element of verticality to this that I wasn't really expecting, and all of that feels very fluid. It just feels more fluid than what you would expect for what a stylized 2D RPG like this. The turn-based battles themselves, it wasn't super frequent. It's not, just randomized battles, but every single one felt meaningful, even if it was like against low-level enemies. And I always found that I was actually purposefully thinking about what I was doing. I also really like that power-up system. As you kill the enemies, you pick up the gems. It's, as we'll get into Octopath, it's kind of got that, similar thing for charging up your attacks, just not based specifically on turns. And you know what? Again, it just looks so fucking good. Like the shadows in this look so good. I didn't realize right off the bat that you'd be able to just like jump in the water and swim, and you can like see the shadow like change depending on the depth of the water and everything. I feel like you guys are going to be a little bit resistant to this, but I think the aesthetics of this game specifically are much better than HD 2D in itself.
Wow.
I think it looks phenomenal.
You know what, Steve? Why don't you go next?
I like the demo. I think calling it better than HD 2D is a bit blasphemous. I also think that the protagonist is Golden Sun's Isaac, but he spent too much time in a tanning bed. This is going to be my chicken boo moment. If you all know what that is, give yourself a cookie. What I didn't like is the messenger. This team's previous game, and as much as I like this demo, if they pull that shit again, where this game becomes like a kart racer halfway through or some shit. I am going to fly to Canada myself and say some not nice things to Kevin in person.
Oh, I thought you were going to say some not nice things to the devs because they were Canadian or something.
Are they? Because that could be part of my that could be part of my trip too. But honestly, there was a lot to like. I like the timed hits too, in addition to the gems. But I mean, honestly, I'm probably going to be in the wait and see, just by virtue of. I don't have a lot of money in August. So,
because Steve is getting married.
Steve is not getting married.
So, like you, I did not like the messenger, and they're doing but I'm going to have a little bit of hesitation, right? This game was very cool playing the Sea of Stars demo. I'm generally, you guys know, I'm very skeptical of indie JRPGs in general. I think they almost never get them right. But this one really seems to be doing everything correct. Graphics have a lot of obvious care into it. Kevin was talking about the shadows. Like, that's not cheap animation to do. You know what I mean? Like, that's, even if you're using some sort of like plain 3D effect to even like help achieve that's still, to make that look convincing is not easy, and they did a really great job with it. The battle system seems very well thought out. However, I want to push back on something Kevin said, where every battle felt like meaningful so far. It feels like that would wear down on me a little bit. I think there needs to be some battles that are a bit mindless. I feel like that's part of like the JRPG, like trudging along. If everything I encounter is a problem, that's like a different kind of game to me, almost like a Shin Megami Tensei. You know what I mean? Everything has the threat to kill you in 2 seconds, Steve. Right? But so you got to think about everything. Unless you're like 60 levels above something, you're not hitting that auto battle and breezing through it, because you never feel safe doing that. Now, obviously, I know Sea of Stars isn't going to be that kind of game, but we'll see how it plays out. I like the little timing based things. I always like when games do that, whether it's like Mario and Luigi or, other similar games that may do that kind of stuff. That's always fun. So yeah, so far so good. Just don't trick me like the messenger. That's all I gotta say.
I did also want to add one thing that I really hope this game is like 60 or 70 hours long. I think if this is like a 20 to 25 hour thing where they've got, some optional side content there and they can keep it focused, that'll serve it really well.
Okay. I agree. I don't want this to be like super duper long. 30 max, Like, I really think so. Like, my favorite RP...
They already got it. They got experience in making a 30-hour game. It's called The Messenger.
Okay, we never really compared notes on this. Let's just do it now. How far did you get into, like, when the game goes completely off the rails? Because I was already really sick of it before then. And then they did that. And I was like, no, I noped out. But were you? Because I was like, I've had enough.
No, I dug it when it was being pretend Ninja Gaiden. I really did. And then it did the whole Metroidvania thing, and I'm like, holy shit, this is really bad at being this, because you could still die by falling off of cliffs. And there were a bunch of them you needed to actually fall down. And I'm consulting maps and things, and I'm like, you know what? After the bazillionth MacGuffin that they want you to find to finish this, no, I'm not drinking this Kool-Aid anymore. I'm done.
Okay, yeah. See, I was already sick of it before then, because like those levels were getting so long. It's like, guys, there's a reason why Ninja Gaiden levels are not like 15 minutes long. Like, we just have some fucking sense and like make a level that makes sense. Anyway, I had to know. So real quick, I just wanted to LOL at Omega Strikers because that looked like fucking crap. That looked like a Flash game. Talk about a Flash game from 2002, Kevin. That seriously, like the physics of the puck looked like awful. Like my first video game. It looked so bad. As we made fun of in the intro to this podcast, Steve. Like, did you guys look at this? It's like, oh no.
How much did they pay to be in a real ass direct?
Not much, because I only got like 30 seconds of airtime, but still, like they
and not even in a sizzle reel. They got a whole segment.
Yeah, I mean it was short, but Kevin, go to bed. Steve, Etrian Odyssey 1 through 3 HD. I have been waiting for this for forever. I've always wanted to play those games, but not on DS, man. You know, I feel about playing like long-term RPGs like that on a handheld. Just like sometimes I just don't want to. I'm past the point of my life, especially now that like Switch exists. It's like I'm not going back and playing that stuff. Now I can do it. It's here. And you don't have to draw your own maps anymore, Steve.
Yeah, I never played these. I always wanted to, but budget. So, I guess, and a part of that is, the map system is a bit. We'll lose that part of it because that I guess that did sort of appeal to me, but not enough to actually buy one. And the alternatives are kind of crummy, which is do it by hand with a controller.
Or it seemed awful. I was watching some Japanese presentation last week where he was actually demonstrating how to do that. It looked like a fucking mess. No, thank you.
Or just let the game do it for you, and neither one of those feel like particularly in the spirit of it, but I think I'll get over it.
You know what? I mean, it's fine. Look, I just don't want to draw. I have no problem drawing maps. I love playing games like Phantasy Star or Shining in the Darkness and stuff where you basically old school games where you have no choice but to do that, or look it up on Game FAQs if you want, right? I like the map stuff. I just don't want to do it with a controller while I don't know, just do it for me. It's fine. I don't know if you played the Sega Aegis Phantasy Star where also they add an auto map to it, whereas the original game had no maps. You had to draw them yourself. And that's fine. I didn't feel like I lost much for doing that. Yeah, I do like to make the map, but whatever.
Yeah, I didn't play the Sega Ages version. I played it on Wii Virtual Console back when those were $5 a piece. And I was way, way too stupid to draw my own maps there. So that was me going on GameFAQs with my laptop computer because this was still before smartphones and finding those maps when I was getting particularly stuck.
But so you're saying like you just don't like to draw maps? Are you saying that you would have done it like if you played them on DS, you would have just gone along and drawn the maps, or like you just don't like to draw maps in general, no matter what?
I just don't generally keep paper around.
I'm talking about playing like Etrian Odyssey on DS. Would it have bothered you to draw the map on the second screen, like actually play that way?
It might not have to, if seeing as it would have actually been a more permanent source of a map, I think, or more reliable at least.
This is what I need right now. I love dungeon crawling and I just really want to play these. Yes, Yuzo does the music. No, that's not the reason why I'm interested. However, I did notice during this Japanese presentation I mentioned earlier, when talking about the music, my Japanese reading speed isn't quite up to snuff, but I can read the letters PC88. Because I did hear the music and it's like, this sounds really old school. And I was like, did he do this? But so maybe he did it again in like the PC88 style or something like that. PC88, if anyone doesn't know, is like the original platform for EASE, Japanese personal computer. PC88. I think there was also PC98. Anyway, it sounded like in that style. So I'm like, is this new for this version? Because I doubt it sounded like this on DS. So I'd like to learn more about what Yuzo did for the music here, because it sounds like he's involved, not just using his old compositions. But yeah, I'm very looking forward to this. The pricing, though, seems a little much. These are 3 individual releases for $40 each. Etrian Odyssey 1, 2, and 3. You can get a bundle for $80. So basically buy 2, get 1. How do you feel about that? Is that fair? Or I know these are full-on RPGs, but
I think 3 for $80 is fine, especially since Sega just tried telling us to buy Persona 3 and 4 for 2 cents off?
You will not let that go.
No, I won't, because this is the same company doing a much better deal.
Kevin. This is not the first time he's mentioned these 2 cents. Like,
no, I know, but that's like the brand of Steve I really like. So I hope we get more 2-cent off deals.
That is funny though. Sometimes when you go on Amazon, it's like save 7 cents on this or whatever. It's like
I was at the local grocery store. I don't remember what it was, but they had something on sale, and the regular price tag was like $4.98, and it was on sale for $4.99. So you just take your
let the
your
good
fucking,
times roll.
You take your bitching and you just keep it down in the United States, there, Steve.
Y'all don't even have pennies over there anymore, huh?
Yeah,
You're
just say.
Things are so bad. We have reverse sales up in Canada.
Oh my god. Okay, we need to take a break. Count our pennies. We'll be right back.
There's a shortage on Red Starburst, guys. How do you think that's going to affect the candy market in time for the Super Bowl?
We would absolutely talk. Shit, we would talk about that right now. What are you talking about? That's a total fine time topic.
Yeah, too bad I just made it up out of my ass.
I mean, what would you do if Starburst came out of your ass? What would you do?
I mean, after you chew it a bunch, that's what happens, right? You swallow it. And
no, not like it turns into poop. I mean, like it literally just comes out as Starburst.
I'd go
wrapper
to the
or out of wrapper?
That's
out of
a good
wrapper.
question.
Out of wrapper.
I'd go to the hospital because holy shit.
But if it was in wrapper, I'd just eat it.
No, yeah, I guess I really couldn't tell anyone either.
Would you try it?
No, my own Starburst shit? No.
No, it doesn't
try
smell like
one.
it's not poop, and it doesn't smell like poop. It is not human waste. Starburst just comes out of your ass.
Yeah, but if it fell out of my ass, then it's human waste. Even if it's
It is not. It's Starburst.
Even if it's perfectly consumable Starburst, it still fell out of my ass, and that makes it human waste.
I beg
Once
to differ.
again, fucking prime content wasted on the break.
No, we were putting this in. Okay, we're back, everybody. This is staying in. So, hey, what did everybody talk about on break? Moby Dick and other literary concepts.
Stocks and bonds.
Mm.
You have a Starburst lately? Okay. There isn't a whole lot to say about Advance Wars 1 and 2, but it has been redated as it was dated this time last year. But I guess we still have a war going on that they're concerned about. Okay, but here's what I want to ask. Steve, do you think they spent this year changing any content? YN?
No.
Really? So it's just what they finished last year. Kevin, do you think so? Because
I expect not. I can't really see it seemed like it was fully ready to go originally. I don't know how much more polishing they could have done for a year. I was really surprised to even see that they were announcing a date that wasn't later today, considering it's been done for so long. But I guess we would find out, they'd already had Shadow Drop covered for the day.
mm-hmm.
Listen, I'm going to play the game, okay? I will be happy to tell you if anything important changed. But can we all shut up now? Everyone on the internet going, "Oh, where's the Advanced Wars? It's canceled forever, isn't it?" I don't read the real news.
I love when people call it Advanced Wars, like with a D, like it has been advanced, the wars.
Well, yeah, because it came out on the Game Boy Advanced, because that's what it said on the console.
Oh, man. I love it. I love Mario Kart Advanced. It's my favorite. Okay, speaking of which, actually, I swear to God, I didn't mean to do that, but they announced and shadow dropped Game Boy, Nintendo Switch Online, and Game Boy Advance, Nintendo Switch Online. Game Boy Advance is for expansion pass members. Game Boy is just for basic bitch members. So, and it's live right now. I think we have done a little digging. Kevin, what have you dug around on there and played so far, if anything?
All I've played that, and probably all that I really had interest in that I hadn't already played was Kuru. And I'd actually just been watching a video of that like a week before of, exclusive games that never made it to North America. Had a great time with it, but I got in quite a bit of shit from my wife when the kids are trying to sleep, and every 45 seconds I'm in the living room just going, fuck, shit, fuck. Because that's what happens when I play that game.
Oh man, I love games like in this style of like a board. You know what I mean? That you kind of navigate, whether it's the Taito game, a Camel Tree, or whether it's I love stuff like that. So I've never played this because it never came here. Yes, it came out on Wii U Virtual Console. Sorry, I didn't have that stupid thing. But
and it's got a real like interest. Like if you can hit a certain flow with that game where you can like get running and it feels really good, but then you fuck it up and then you get yelled at by your wife.
I wouldn't know about that part code.
I haven't really been playing a whole lot except Gargoyle's Quest is I love that game. So of course I love all the Makaimura games. So I love this one too. I'll finally get to play the e-reader levels of Mario 3. I've been wanting to do that since like forever. So that's a plus. Never played Kururin, but I will very shortly because me and this guy Steve are probably going to do a Nintendo Switch Online podcast fairly soon. So
we are long overdue on a Nintendo Switch Online app show, and when they were showing it, it felt a little thin to start, but when I was actually looking at the games, this was actually a mostly good lineup to open, except for Alone in the Dark. I'm going to tell you from right now, this was not a hidden gem, because that was my first impulse instead of playing any of the games anyone knows. I'm like, you know what? Maybe this Alone in the Dark is a real hidden gem that everyone needs to try. And it was just unfairly maligned because it was released in 2001 around the same time as the GBA. And oh my God, holy shit, this is bad. And I can only assume it's here because one of the interns won this in a card game. But we'll get to that at another time.
I feel like you just got to it.
There's way more to get into.
Go ahead.
Oh, not now.
Two things here. I fully had Steve in my heart and thoughts as this was going on because I noted the absence of Mole Mania, and I know that Steve noted it as well.
Don't start shit, Kevin.
I felt bad for you. Also, it fucking bothers me because they should have had the Game Boy Color games in their own separate app because they're two fucking separate systems just for one more time.
I told you not to start shit, Kevin.
Nintendo doesn't even know their own shit.
Oh my God. If the Game Boy Color didn't exist, we would lose nothing. There, I'll say it. We will have lost nothing. Nothing of value will be lost. How about that?
If that's your opinion, that's fine, but they still should have had their own fucking app.
Oh my
because
Lord,
it's a distinct
three
system.
Apps. I think it's already stupid that they have two apps. They should have just put all this stuff under one thing.
Then don't give us Game Boy Color games if you can't fucking treat it with respect and dignity.
No, okay. One other thing that I was going to say for the app show, but I'm going to give it to you here. I am sick of the Super Game Boy erasure. Here they're going, oh, you could display it in Game Boy Pocket, or Game Boy Color. Oh, I guess Super Game Boy was not a thing. And I'm not saying I want to play with all the color palettes that had to offer, but a bunch of them had fun.
I thought they had a Super Game Boy Color palettes with those. They don't, hey?
No.
Oh, okay.
If Donkey Kong 94 comes on here without Super Game Boy support, that's gonna blow dick. Actually, that would really suck.
We've been doing Super Game Boy on Nintendo emulated stuff for over a decade now, and we've been doing no Super Game Boy with that for that whole time now. So, come on.
But yeah, I mean, it's a small lineup, but like, hey, if you've never played Minish Cap and like Superstar Saga and stuff like that, and even if you have, I have, and I haven't played them since they came out, I'll definitely replay those, right? There's some pretty good value here, for sure.
Hashtag justice for Game Boy Color.
Fuck off. Go away. I'm going to bleep that out. No, I'm not. The people need to hear how incorrigible you are. Okay. We need to talk because the bombshell dropped right after this. The shadow drop of Metroid Prime Remastered. Not it's coming out in a month. It is out right now. Holy shit. I tell you what, that was a holy shit moment. I mean, a direct usually has one or two of those, but oh, wow. Okay, like initial thoughts before we get to the actual Metroid Prime Remasters, which means I'm going to get to the Metroid Prime Remaster because you two dickheads are waiting for a physical. Where does this rank in terms of best shadow drops, Kevin? Like, do you remember one where you were just like, fucking, whoa?
I mean, the thing is with this, but we knew this was coming. I think what made it so special is that they did a really good job on it and then gave it to us today.
Yeah, but that's so fucking cool, though. Like, yeah. Well, here's the thing. I always kind of bought the Metroid Prime trilogy rumor. In my opinion, I never really bought the remastered rumor, but apparently that was the correct one. Steve, do you remember a shadow drop for yourself being like anything like this? Because man, this is up there for me.
You know what? No, I really can't name anything quite on this level, but I will also be nitpicky and say it might have been nice to say 2 and 3 are coming on later this year, and then have that Metroid Prime 4 trailer also come on at the end of the direct, because where the fuck is that game already?
Yeah, but on a personal level, yeah, for Shadow Drop, this has to be up there because like Collection of Mana a couple years ago on that E3 direct, like for me, that was insane. Absolutely insane, because I thought the game was dead in the water. We're just, because it came out in Japan 2 years ago, Steve, and we're just talking amongst each other. Like, we're never going to get it. We're just not going to get it, huh? They're really not going to do it, huh? We're never going to get. Oh my God, there's a remake. Oh my God, there's the original right now. Holy shit!
That was holy shit. That was the last real E3.
Yeah, it was 19, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Trials of Mana came out at the beginning of the Rona, the 2020. Yeah, because that's when I played it. Anyway, what do we think about the job they did here? Because I guess I'll go first since I'm the one who has played it.
By all means, then, Mr. Moneybags, I'll just spend all my money on a digital product.
It's $40 fucking for one. Number two, it's okay to enjoy stuff. Anyway, whatever. I'm not gonna get into with you heathens. I hadn't played Metroid Prime since it came out. Okay, so I didn't really have anything to compare it to except my own memories. And as we all know, your memories can lie to you. You go back and play a game from 20 years ago, and it's like, oh shit, I remember this looking a lot. You know what I mean? Even if you temper your expectations, it's like, man, that is not how I remember that looking. Okay. So when I first loaded on Metroid Prime Remaster and started playing it, it looked exactly how I remembered it in my mind. Lush and rich and atmospheric, all the things that the original is, and the original still is. But I saw a quick comparison video, and this new version is so vastly improved in every area. It is a complete visual remake in every facet: lighting, geometry, loading time, everything. You know what I did notice though, when she does that big flip off the ship and in that initial thing, and you get that close up of her and she lands, I did notice that her suit had this like sort of matte finish to it that the original definitely didn't have, and I did notice that right away. But other than that, I just didn't remember. My mind was like, your memories do weird things to you, huh, Kevin? I mean, it's I'm sure you had the same thought when you looked at
Well,
comparison.
I don't know. As rudely pointed out, I don't have the money to just throw it around on digital products either. But
okay, you sure have the money for a fucking game card.
At first glance, I would have expected this to be more along the lines of Skyward Sword, and regardless what I think about that game aesthetically for the remake, it looked good, but it relied pretty heavily on AI upscaling, and you could tell that in certain parts. But looking at comparison videos, as you'd mentioned, of the original versus what they did here, they obviously spent a lot of time remaking those assets from scratch, and then they didn't even charge us full price for it. So, bravo.
Just really great stuff. Steve, what do you think of did this line up with your memories of Metroid Prime? What do you think of this in general?
For me, I've done 2 full playthroughs of this game. First on GameCube and then again on Wii with the trilogy. And I needed some help too, because like we keep bringing up, Metroid Prime is truly timeless in the way it looks and handles things. I needed some help because I was looking at this thing and I'm like, this looks like it's running better. But this looks pretty much like how I remembered it the other times. And then I'm looking at, I needed these comparison videos. I absolutely needed comparison videos. I'm like, oh, okay. I get it now.
Yeah.
But I think that just speaks more to just how great Metroid Prime was in the first place, more than anything else.
You're right that we would remember it that way. It's definitely true. So Kevin, you alluded to this, but you really think this is it? You really don't think we're going to get Prime 2 or Prime 3?
I don't think, I think this is probably going to sell relatively well compared to how Metroid usually sells, but I think the drop-off rate for Prime 2 and Prime 3 would be too great for them to go through the work of remastering them. And I don't think that they're going to just release Prime 2 and 3 bundle or anything where they don't put in the same amount of effort after doing this. So as a result, and I'm not, it would be great if they come out for the people that want to play them. I can't see it now.
See, that's so disappointing. I fear that you're right, unfortunately, because those are the ones. I'm not trying to diminish the job that they did here on Metroid Prime Remastered, but this is the one I wanted to play the least. 2 and 3 are the ones I really wanted to go back to and play, because I played the first one a lot, like back on hard mode and all backwards and forwards, all sorts of ways, 100%ed it, everything. Prime 2 is the one I like the most out of this trilogy, and that's the one I just want to see this way. But Prime 3, I only really played the one time, and I didn't really get to play it again. I don't know why. I just never really went back to it. So those I'm itching for, Steve.
See, I think we're leaning towards that direction too, because if I was there at this stage, I'd be like, well, we'll put one out, we'll put 2 out for the E3 presentation, and we'll put 3 out for the fall presentation, and then 4 will finally come out next spring, and everyone will be happy. But I think I think we're just looking at 1 for now, and then, which is too bad, because I would love to look at 2 and 3 this way too, but I think we're just looking at 1 here.
That sucks, though. Like, I don't know. I just, whatever. Look, I don't want to poo-poo this, though. This is great. It's just that,
Can I briefly interject and give you guys my look into my crystal ball and give you my prediction?
Oh, okay.
I think that Prime 4 is going to be a launch game for the successor to the Switch hardware, because for one, I think it would be a massive boon for them to come out and say, hey, we've got this, big first party game available day one, along with whatever else they have. But because Metroid traditionally doesn't sell very well, but it's selling to core Nintendo fans, those are exactly the people that are going to be buying Nintendo hardware on day one anyways. So I think for those reasons, that's my solid prediction. I truly think that Prime 4 is going to be a launch title for next hardware.
That's exactly what they did with Prime 3. It came out in within 9 months of the Wii's life. Yep. You know what I mean? That's kind of, and I feel like that could have easily been a GameCube game. And they I don't want to say held it back, but they definitely knew it's like, okay, let's kind of put this in the Wii. That's why they had also, what is it, Steve? Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn, kind of like in that first year of Wii's life.
Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn was a GameCube game. It was supposed to be out on GameCube.
Okay, like Super Paper Mario and the other stuff that they moved. Okay.
They didn't even bother hiding it. You hook a GameCube up and it turns all those buttons right on.
A GameCube controller.
Yeah, in the Wii sockets.
You said hook up a GameCube. So you can hook up a GameCube to your Wii.
Just hook up the GameCube to the Wii. You know what? It's been a week.
You say Prime 3 could have been a GameCube title, but there was sure an awful lot of stick the Wiimote out and push the button and turn it to pull out this lever and then fucking put in this 4-digit code and make sure you do it with sticking your Wiimote out.
There was a lot of that, and they will get rid of that when they do Prime 3 Remastered in 2027 or whatever.
Okay.
It's, Kevin, how are you going to squid jump to another player without a gamepad? Okay. Let's talk about something we've all played. I'm sorry, that's it. I will stop doing it. But we all did play the also shadow dropped Octopath Traveler 2 demo. And, look, we all know what Octopath is. No need to explain. Kevin, why don't you explain your thoughts of this demo? Why don't you start with who you picked as your main, if you will?
So I picked, let me, I think it was the name Throne. I've just referred to her as the busty thief. That's who I started with. Well, you know what I think mostly I want to talk about is, and I don't want, again, I admitted to Andre, he was right the other day because he was trying to tell me and Steve to play this on PS5. We both said it doesn't matter. It'll be fine on Switch. I tried on Switch, then I tried on PS5, and it was definitely better on PS5. So my takeaway was that, play this on PS5 because it looks and runs great, and it does make a difference. The game itself, what I took away from it was more Octopath. We've talked about this before. I do not poop on Octopath. I think it just maybe wound up not being what I wanted it to be. But one thing that this highlighted that kind of triggered in my mind, again, one thing I didn't like about Octopath, it takes itself like so seriously, and it's cheesy, but it's like kind of self-aware, but like it's so cheesy that it goes beyond being self-aware. There was one line where one of the other thief assassins tells my character, "Life is like a cigarette, gone in a puff of smoke." And I was just like, oh, fucking K. Right?
You know what though? I like that about these games. They do take themselves really like gravely seriously sometimes. And they're trying to be as poetic, and you know what I mean? They do stuff like that. But honestly, I love that shit. That's why I love Octopath, honestly. It's one of the charms for me. So I get it. I totally get why that's a turn off.
I think that's a nice throwback to when Super Nintendo RPGs tried being more heady than they were.
Without the voice acting, I think that would be okay. With the voice acting, it just feels a little heavy on the sauce for me. So yeah, I think this is great, but I'm probably not going to be buying it.
Steve, you go next.
Yeah, I took on Partitio's story first because I was won over with his 5 seconds.
What's their job? I don't know who that is.
He's a merchant. He's gonna take on poverty, and that's what I noticed. Excuse me, that's what I noticed in his story. It's largely the same kind of gameplay, like Kevin said. It's more Octopath, but with a few more bells and whistles and little perks. But I don't know how the rest of these characters are going to go, but in Partitio's case, his story is taking on a bit more of a wider scope on a surface level versus the more individual stories of the first game's protagonists. And I thought while the narrower character scope was one of the first game's better storytelling elements, like you kind of you were in the world and the characters, had their own shit to deal with. I think I'm very hopeful that the teased crossing paths storylines feel more organic with these slightly grander storylines, and how it affects everything doesn't need to be spelled out in a post-game dungeon because everyone online can't fucking read. But that was just a me problem.
I feel like you're calling me stupid right now. I feel like you're calling me stupid, just like you called me stupid during Live Aid Live. You said, Andre, you are fucking stupid for not knowing the 7 bosses have the same name. You idiot. You fucking moron. I feel like those are your exact words on that podcast.
Yeah, I heard that too. That's definitely what he said. I got you back.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, okay. That's exactly what I said. Sure.
Yeah. You sent it to me in an email, too, just in case you weren't hearing it on the podcast that you edited yourself, you dummy. I'm going to put it in writing, just in case you do gain some reading comprehension. Here's what you don't understand. You're a fucking moron. You put like 7 exclamation marks. No, I took on Temenos, the Inquisitor, the Church Inquisitor, because you guys know I love religious drama. So that's right up my alley. And it didn't disappoint. I definitely got that. It was the perfect whistle wetter. This game's coming out next week, guys. Holy shit. It's next week. Like, I cannot wait to play this. The outstanding battle system from the first one, probably one of the best battle systems of all time, returns. Like Steve said, a few more bells and whistles, but they didn't try to reinvent the wheel there. The music is stupendous. Did you know that the guy who did the original Octopath, like, that was his first like real project? He had just done little bits and bobs of stuff before, and they just let him do this entire ass RPG. And it was like the best music like ever. It was so I think the soundtrack to the original Octopath is incredible. And for what the pieces that I've heard in this so far do not disappoint either. Do you agree, Steve?
Yeah, I would have never known that about the first Octopath. And this is it again, just excuse me, even after those first few hours, just sounds like it's gonna be great.
Yeah. Great stuff.
Can't wait.
I managed in my 3 hours of playtime to finish the chapter 1 of Temenos and find another character that I won't name because I don't want to spoil, but I managed to do his opening moments as well and reform the party. And then that was the end of my 3 hours, even though I got to save a little bit. And it still said like 3:00. It was like, okay, how long are you going to actually let me play? And then it cut me off shortly after. So, I do have one question though. So they ask you, you like find another character and it's like, do you want to see their, origins or something? And if you choose no, I don't think you can go back in the original, right? Because like in this, they say, if you want to look at their chapter 1 or whatever later, you can go to the tavern, whatever that is. Was that an option in the original? Because I don't remember that. I thought that was like gone if you didn't do that.
Oh, I did everyone's first chapter 1. So
Me too.
So that didn't come up for me. I just remember visiting everyone else where it would just fade out into that sepia thing and you'd get that description of, oh, Ulbricht's a rough warrior and he's got a troubled past. Do you want to do his first chapter? Yes, no.
Mm-hmm.
I never hit no, so I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, but this game specifically, when you're choosing yes or no, it says if you choose no, you can view it later from the tavern, whatever the tavern is. It specifically says that. Yeah, I don't think the first game said something like that.
The tavern is where you rearrange your party. You can do equips across the board, across the 8 members, and if you fuck up your reputation in towns by being not very good at thieving or your other jobs, you can pay the guy to make it normal-ish again.
Primrose didn't realize how sexy she could be.
Pretty much.
Who was your main in the first one? I was an old Barrack man.
I took Primrose first because I really wanted to see where that story was going.
Oh yeah, that was man. The way it started. I mean, the whole thing was great, but like, ooh baby, that was a great character. I like that they let you pick the 8 characters because, like in the first one, you got to just do old Barrack or Primrose, right? Or just
that was the first demo.
Yeah, that was the first demo. This you got to actually pick. So I did enjoy that. Speaking of RPG, and Steve, Baten Kaitos 1 and 2 remastered. I literally like 2 weeks ago, I was talking on a Discord call with friends while we were playing Overwatch 2, and we were talking about stuff they wanted to see come back. And I was saying, I don't think we'll ever see Baten Kaitos because of the pre-renders, and not just the pre-renders. So many of them were like animated backgrounds, and it's just like, how are you going to upscale those? Are you going to just do those again in 3D? Do they have the original assets to up? It's so weird when you get to pre-renders, right? But here it is. Clearly they're doing it. So we've actually never talked about Baten Kaitos between each other. What's your history with these series?
My great GameCube shame is that while I played and enjoyed 1, I never played 2. So I'm looking forward to this.
Oh boy. I mean, it did come out like right on top of Wii, so it was like weird timing for it. I mean, I think I basically played the game on Wii. Like,
I probably would have too, but I just couldn't find a copy by the time I was like in the market for it.
So this is exciting to me as someone who really enjoyed the original, both of them, really. So here's something that's weird, and that'll maybe only matter to me, but I'm going to ask you guys about it anyway. So, well, one thing first. Baten Kaitos has terrible voice acting, if you remember, Steve. Like, not just terrible, it sounds terrible.
Like they're talking into the coffee can phones and Little Rascals.
Yeah, and it's acted badly on top of it. So these remasters are only going to include Japanese voice acting, which is totally fine.
That's
with me.
fine.
I don't care. That's fine. Because, like, honestly, in the original, you could just turn off the voices, and I did at some point because I couldn't take it anymore. Especially all the kid voices. Oh my god, they were so bad. But besides that, Namco put out a statement saying that the remasters were going to stick to 30 frames a second. That was not 30 frames a second footage we saw in that direct. That was 60, dog. So, like, I don't know. Did they goof? Or was that not Switch footage? Like, what do you think? What's your theory on that?
Well, like, if we harken back to our Bayonetta 3 discussion, they could be playing with the Switch Pro dev kit. Or there could be a PC or PS5 version coming down the pike later, but I don't think it's coming right now because Bandai Namco would have definitely said something on their Twitter right after the show, because that's what they all do when after these presentations.
Or even PlayStation would have tweeted it, just like they said the Octopath 2 demo is available now. And you know what I mean? They tweeted that, right? So
if it's coming, it's not right now.
Yeah. So I don't know what that footage was, but it was 60. Kevin, I'm going to presume you never played one of these.
I'm going to pull another. I spent 3 or 4 hours with it. I didn't know what the fuck was going on with the card system, and I got confused and I left it in the dust. I'm a bad person. I know.
See, that's the thing. I was actually going to say, if you've never played one, I think you would actually enjoy that system. Maybe you just took it. I don't know. I actually really think you would like
again,
these.
it's one where if I didn't put in the effort to really try and see it through, but I felt confused by the card system. But I'm also just dumb a little bit sometimes. So if I really try and learn it, maybe someday if I get the oomph, I'll go with it.
Yeah, I actually really do. Well, I think you would enjoy like the story and everything. Like, I feel like it's your kind of like motif and like character. I don't know. I think you would enjoy that. So maybe if you can get along with the cards. I really enjoyed that early to mid 2000s era of Japanese games where everything had fucking cards in it. I loved all that shit. A lot of people complain, but like,
how long
I
are
loved
these?
Oh, they're long. They're long. Like,
yeah,
the first one takes at least like 60 hours.
Yeah, see, stuff like that is just really hard for me to commit to.
Yeah, I understand. No, they're long. Baten Kaitos Origins is shorter, but not much shorter. Anyway, but Steve, did you get a chance to play? We saw the sizzle reel, a Power Pros game all of a sudden.
Yeah, most of that sizzle reel was stuff we played already. We covered already on the show, but then they had WBSC Power Pros, which is the latest entry in a long-running Konami baseball game, which is probably a very literal translation of a thing that Andre will say better than me.
Oh, what? Like Pro Yaku Stadium? I don't know what they're called anymore. Yeah, okay.
it's that, and I'm like, well, Andre's the baseball guy. Maybe he has an opinion on it. But then when I was downloading the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance Nintendo Switch Online apps, I saw it there for the low price of 99 cents, and I'm like, well, I'll bite for that price. And so I did, and I finally turned it on yesterday. And you know what? It's pretty neat. It's only online only. You can only play online or with friends, so there's no you can't play like a fake season with these fake players or anything. You can just play with other people, and that would be okay, except everyone online already knows how to play this game one weekend. Like I got my ass kicked yesterday just trying to after the tutorial. Like, it's cute. I don't regret spending my dollar. I'll probably poke my head in sometimes, but I was just surprised to see this at all, really.
Well, think about that 2 cents you saved on that other bundle. That definitely helped you knock off a couple cents off of this 99, huh?
Yeah. Let the
50 more of those, you can buy the next Power Pros.
Yeah. Just buy 50 more bundles of very expensive games. Okay. obviously it ended with Tears of the Kingdom. I don't really know what to say. We don't need to see anything else, right? Like, that's all I really got to say. We know what the score is already, guys. Like,
I want to disagree a little bit, because going into this, I want nothing but just an indication that we're going to see something a little bit closer to traditional dungeons this time. I don't need it to be like exactly 8 fucking standard dungeons with their own unique items. I just want a little bit of reassurance for moving a little bit closer in that direction. But that's it.
I hope we don't. Steve, what we're right? Like, we don't need to see a single.
No, I don't.
Second.
I'm good. I was good before even. Because I'm an old man. I got game magazines once a month, and sometimes they told me about video games I wanted to know about. And ones like Zelda, I already knew I was going to like a whole bunch. I don't need everyone telling me, this is a village, this is a cave, here's the end of the game. And I hate that this is game journalism now. Freaking Game Explain tell me, well, here we are in the fucking bridge here, and here's how to beat the boss that's going to live here at the bridge.
I don't know why you always destroy Game Explain for this specifically. Like, I don't know why that's your go-to.
Sometimes I just want to go on YouTube and turn on a different video, and here they are popping up in my recommends until I block them again, showing off shit I don't want to see.
Oh my god.
Son of a bitch explaining games.
I've never heard anyone have this much of a hard on.
I don't need to be game-splained, okay? Let me play the games.
Oh my god. I've never heard anyone have this much of a hard on against games. I mean, Jesus Christ.
They're terrible.
Oh Lord. Anyway, like, so obviously the topic on the tip of everyone's tongue here is that Tears of the Kingdom is going to be $70, or if you want to be really exact, $69.99 MSRP, because Steve cares about them pennies.
I think we're overestimating how much Steve cares about them pennies.
You care about them pennies. So I thought this was like a mistake listing when I first saw it. I was like, oh, that's just going to be the deluxe version with DLC or something. No, that's just the game, $69.99. How do you feel about a Nintendo price hike mid-generation? I guess this is like a two-tiered question, Kevin. One, how do you feel about a price hike mid-generation? Two, do you think this is actually a price hike, or do you think this is a Zelda tax?
So I do think this is a permanent price hike. I'm surprised we got away with this as long as we did. I'm surprised Nintendo didn't try and push this a little bit sooner. But again, bringing up Prime Remastered, they released this for $40. So I think Nintendo also has started playing a little bit more fast and loose with decreasing the price of titles that they're not as confident will sell as well. So I'm also willing to take the trade there. But yeah, I'm okay with this.
I'm okay with it too. It's fine, but I do think this is Zelda tax. I don't think every game is going to be priced this way. And furthermore, I think you're right. I've always liked that Japan has always had like very scalable. Some games are 4,800 yen. Like, you know, your latest, I don't know. I can't even think of something, like, you know, something cheaper to make. Maybe like Metroid Prime Remastered would be 4,800 yen there. But then like Dragon Quest 12 is going to be 9,800 yen. You know, like they put those games like way up there, and probably Zelda in Japan is going to be like a good 8,800, right? But so
you
like,
think, so let's say like Mario Party going forward, a Mario Party comes out on Switch before we get hardware successor. Do you think that's going to still stay at 60?
Yeah, I do.
Oh?
I really do. Like if they put out another, God forbid, another Fire Emblem that they have next year, I think that's not going to be $70. I think it's going to be 60. I really do feel like this is going to be a Zelda tax. I don't know why.
I feel like that's
totally
almost
wrong.
a worse look.
Really?
It's worse to kind of. I mean, you know, for them, on one hand, they can come out and they can say, look, everybody knows that game development is getting more expensive. Everybody else is doing this. We're just kind of keeping up with the industry trends. But to come out and say like, hey, we know you fucking like Zelda and we know you're going to pay for it, so give us an extra $10. I feel like that's kind of a shittier look.
It's a shittier look, but they're absolutely correct. I mean, I'm not okay. I mean, when I saw it, I was like, okay, $70. Tears of the Kingdom, fine. Sounds good to me. By the way, I used the vouchers. They brought back those vouchers for $100. So I did Zelda and I did Kirby, Return to Dreamland Deluxe. So yeah, so both of those are in queue. I'm glad that you could do pre-orders with them. I didn't know that. So so I basically got Kirby for $30, which I think MSRP on that is not, is it $60? If so, I just saved a lot of money there.
Yeah, I might
No,
get some vouchers too.
Oh, it's 60 here, and that actually comes into my point. I remember back when Switch came out, we had games all over the fucking place at retail wise, and that is like how Andrew brought up before, how games are priced in Japan, like scalable. And I think we might be heading in that direction. I think we could start seeing things heading up to 70, but I could think we could also start seeing just more MSRPs all over the place. Kirby's Return to Dreamland is $20 less in Japan.
Yeah. So like I feel like we at one point kind of did this, especially the Dreamcast was pretty good at this, and maybe that was just because that system didn't sell much or trying to get people to buy, but like Capcom had very scalable pricing on Dreamcast, and of course this was back when we maxed out at $50 for a game on a disc. Like Marvel vs. Capcom 2 would be $50, Cannon Spike would be $20, like Power Stone 2 was like $40, and like I think Project Justice Rival Schools 2, that was like $20 as well. They really did some scalable pricing, you know, and I think a lot of publishers did that back then, and not just Dreamcast, but other systems. And then, you know, PS2, GameCube and stuff came out, and everything was basically just $50. But you know, yeah, I would like to see a return to that. And I thought like digital games, that's why I kind of like the indie market. They charge what they think their game is worth. We should kind of start doing that for big games too, I think.
Just for one more comment to my position, I think is everybody expecting that this summer we're going to get an announcement for new Nintendo hardware?
Not this summer. I think if we're gonna see it, we're gonna see it at the end of the year, like November-ish.
Yeah, like this first Switch. I think the fall would be a safer thing. And they'll try the same thing again.
Because I had now it's seeming more and more like E3 is just not happening this year. I had it in my mind as this being an E3 announcement, but regardless, I think that hardware is imminent at some point, and I think once we hit that, then that's definitely the gate where they say what we consider full price titles. That's $70 now.
Yeah, but look, they may not have. If they announce hardware, we may not have that much to write out this generation. We may not find out if a new Mario game is going to cost $70 on Switch proper, right? So like, we may not actually get the answer to this question. But I hope we do, because I do want to see what they're going to do going forward. Well, with that, I feel like we have given all our direct hot takes. Hope you enjoyed them. We're going to get the hell out of here, because what else do we have to say left? Find Time Podcast on Twitter. You guys follow us there. Look in the description of this podcast or the bio of Find Time Podcast on Twitter to find our personal names. Follow us as well. See you next time, guys. Bye.